ibadah. Alhamdulillah. Now, the next thing that we are going to take is the Tauheed. Of course, last week we were able to answer the question why we exist, and we discussed facts that showed life can never be coincidental, and that life was pre-planned by Allah Almighty, and His plans are always perfect. His plans are always perfect. Now, we are going to proceed with our Tauheed lesson. Although I don't have a PowerPoint presentation for this, so I'm going to discuss the Tauheed and ask Allah to give me the patience to follow my discussions. You can take note of certain things, and when I finish editing the whole notes of the Tauheed, Bismillah, I will get to share it with you. But in the meantime, you'll have to bear with me. I'll want you to take note of the certain things that I'm going to discuss with you now. Now, let's look at the concept of Tauheed itself. Now, Tauheed, the concept of Tauheed is the most fundamental concept of Islam as a religion, and one that each and every Muslim must know. There's no option in that. Each and every Muslim must subscribe to the concept of Tauheed. Now, the whole objective behind sending messengers to mankind on earth was centered on establishing Tauheed. All the messengers that came from Allah the Almighty were sent to establish the message of Tauheed, were sent to establish the oneness of Allah, which means the knowledge of Tauheed in our lives as Muslims is inevitable. Every Muslim has to believe in Tauheed before he's fully considered a Muslim. Every Muslim. So we can literally say that Tauheed is the most important topic in Islamic knowledge. And of course, for the whole stay of the Prophet ﷺ, for the whole stay of the prophets, for the whole period of stay of Prophet ﷺ in Mecca, the subject of discussion was Tauheed, getting people to worship Allah alone. The Prophet ﷺ started his mission inside Mecca, and most of the people of Mecca were mushrikun. In fact, all the people of Mecca were mushrikun. They worshipped idols, with the exception of the few who lived on the deen of Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ, which the Prophet ﷺ was one of them, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was one of them as well. So they lived doing the worship of Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ. Right from day one, they didn't see anything, ordeal in worshipping idols. So now, what is Tauheed then? What is this important topic of Islam, which every Muslim should know much about? Now, Tauheed means unification, making something one, or asserting oneness, Now, the word Tauheed comes from the Arabic verb wahada, which itself means to unite, or to unify, or to consolidate. Now, when the term Tauheed is used in reference to Allah, for instance, Tawheedullahi, it means realizing and maintaining Allah's unity in all our actions, directly or indirectly. So when you say Tawheedullah, it means you should unify. You should, first of all, you should realize, and then maintain Allah's unity in all your actions, directly or indirectly. You should maintain Tawheed in what you say. You should maintain Tawheed in how you interact with Allah's creations, which means do not ever bring anything close to the rank of Allah, or do not ever make anything equivalent to Allah. And then do not ever do what you do to Allah as worship to any other person. So you need to realize this and you need to maintain this. Now, Tawheed is usually classified into three. You have Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, which is the belief that Allah is one without partner in His Lordship. I made mention in my previous talks that Lord, Ar-Rabb, means someone who creates and sustains His creations. Which means as a human being, He will create you and sustain you. You'll be given birth to, you'll start sitting down, you'll start crawling, you'll start walking, you'll start growing, and you'll grow to an old age. The one who sustains you is Allah. Your mother will not know when you will start sitting down. She'll just see you sitting down. She's giving you food. Of course, the food was given to her by Allah because you'll only plant, but who grows the food? When the food goes in, she's not in charge of taking the food round. The person who takes, who automates the whole process of digestion is Allah. So it's He who sustains you. You start sitting down, you start crawling, you start working, become a youth, you become old, you go on and on to grow. He gives you the rain you need to grow certain crops. He gives you the capital you need in your businesses. He gives you good health. He tests you with sickness, a lot of things. The only thing that you're in charge of is your intention. If you like, you stand up. If you like, you sit down. If you like, you pray. If you don't like, you don't pray. If you like, you don't pray. So the only thing that you are in charge of is your intention. And as I said in my previous talks, that's what you are going to be judged on. You are going to be judged based on your intentions, because that's what you are giving. But other than your intention, that's irada. All other things, Allah is in charge of them. So now, Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, it's Tawheed that one will believe in the oneness of Allah and with all these things. Allah created everything and He sustains everything. Now we have Tawheed number 2, which is Tawheed al-Asma' wa Sifat. Tawheed al-Asma' wa Sifat, which is the belief that Allah is one without similitude in His names and attributes. Have we ever heard a human being or any other animal called Allah? هل تعلم له سمية? He's the only one referred to as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Tawheed Asma' wa Sifat is the belief that Allah is one without similitude in His names and in His attributes. And then the third kind of Tawheed is Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. You can also call it Tawheed al-Ibadah. Tawheed al-Ibadah, which is the belief that Allah is the one without rival in His divinity and His worship. Which means believing that Allah is the only one who deserves to be worshipped. He's the only one who deserves to be a God. It's the belief that Allah is the one without rival in His divinity and in His worship. Meaning, He's the only one who deserves to be a God, and He's the only one who deserves to be worshipped. Now, these aspects form the basis for the categories into which the science of Tauheed has been traditionally divided. Now, although the three overlap, and although you cannot separate them, to such a degree that whoever omits any aspect has failed to complete the requirements of Tauheed. If you say you believe in Allah, but then you believe that something else can also, you know, Tauheed al-Uluhiyya. And then if you believe in Allah, I repeat myself on this. If you say you believe in Allah, but then you believe something else can also be worshipped, then you don't believe in Tauheed al-Uluhiyya, which means your Tauheed is incomplete. If you say you believe that Allah created everything, but then someone else also created something else, you say someone, a scholar or any other person created you or created anyone, then you don't believe in Allah's rububiyyah. Allah created everything and nobody took part in his creations. If you say Allah has the same attributes, I mean another person has the same attributes like Allah, like someone can be called Allah, and he can, you know, he has the same attributes of Allah, then you disbelieve in Tawheed as not was. For that. Now, as I said, the three overlap and you cannot do without, you cannot separate them. Now, the omission aspects of Tawheed is referred to as shirk, which means sharing something in Arabic. So the association of partners with Allah, which is the biggest sin in Islam, it's the biggest because Allah does not forgive anybody who does it. So this kind of association, or this kind of sharing, is referred to as shirk, and every Muslim should avoid it. We can only avoid it when we master our Tawheed. When we master our Tawheed. Now, the division of Tawheed into these components was not done by the Prophet ﷺ, nor by his companions. Because at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was no necessity, there was nothing necessary that would lead to analyzing such a basic principle of faith in this fashion at that time. Tawheed was considered one thing, and all the verses of Tawheed, Uluhiyya or Rububiyyah or Asma or Sifat were revealed at once. All the verses were revealed. Well, the verses were not revealed separately, saying that this kind of Tawheed should go under Rububiyyah, this verses should go under Tawheed, Uluhiyya, this verses should go under Tawheed, Asma or Sifat. No, it was not done. All the verses that spoke about Tawheed were revealed at once. However, the foundations of the components are all implied in the verses of the Qur'an and in the explanatory statements of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. as we'll come to see that in the course of our discussion. We'll see how this applies. Now, the necessity for this analytical approach to the principle of Tauheed arose after Islam spread into different places. After Islam spread into Egypt, Byzantium, that is under the Byzantine Empire, and Persia under the Persian Empire, and then India, and absorbed the cultures of these religions. Initially, it was the Mushrikun of Mecca, and the verses revealed were enough to deal with all their claims. But then when Islam went ahead, it made Christians, it met the Majus, those who worshipped fire, it met, as it entered even the Yahud in Egypt, and different cultures and religions that people adhered to in the past. Now, Islam went into these people. They had their cultures in the past, and they had their religions in the past. Now, as something new to them, some of them from the beginning may not be willing to give up what they had in the past. So it's only natural to expect that when the peoples of these lands entered the fold of Islam, they will carry with them some of the remnants of their former beliefs. Now, when some of these new converts began to express these old cultures in Islam, some physically, some through writing, some through discussions, when they began to explain their philosophical concepts of God, confusion arose, in which the pure and simple Unitarian belief of Islam became threatened. Some of them disbelieved in Qadr. Some of them have different concepts that were not in line with these different fragments or these different arms of Tauheed. There are also others who had outwardly accepted Islam, but secretly worked to destroy the religion from within due to their inability to oppose it militarily, like the Majus, those who accepted Islam from the area of Persia, Iran, Iraq, and what have you. They were one of the two most powerful empires at that time, the Byzantines and the Persia, but they were all defeated. And some of them forcefully, or technically, let me say, technically entered Islam. They forced themselves, or they technically entered Islam. And they entered Islam in order to gain certain privileges and freedoms. Because if they are not Muslims, they'll have to pay tasks, because the Muslims will defend them. They'll live under the Islamic Empire. You're not forced in Islam to become a Muslim. But then, if at all the Muslims will be the ones safeguarding you, then you'll have to pay the jizya. Because nobody can fight you if you're under the Islamic Empire. Even though you are not a Muslim, the Amir al-Mu'mineen will come to defend you. So because of this, and whenever you are in dire need of support, the Amir al-Mu'mineen will also support you. So because of this, you have to pay the fidya, the jizya. So some of them do not want to pay this jizya. So they pretended to be Muslims outwardly. And they do as much as they can to spoil Islam. Some will insult all the leadership of Islam. They will insult the Sahabas, sometimes indirectly insult the Prophet himself. Because to them, Islam should not have defeated them. Islam should not have brought an end to their empire. Now, of course, the task of opposing the tide of deviation fell on the shoulders of Muslim scholars of that period. And they had to rise to meet the challenge intellectually. And this challenge was different. Some challenges have to do with Tauheed Uluhiyya. Some challenges have to do with Tauheed Rububiyyah. Some challenges had to do with Tauheed Asma wa Sifat. Because some of these people had no problem with Tauheed Uluhiyyah, while some do not have a problem with Tauheed Rububiyyah, while others do not have a problem with Tauheed Asma wa Sifat. So in order to solve the multidimensional problems, you have to focus on certain areas. So these scholars systematically oppose the various strange philosophies and creeds by categorizing them and countering them with principles deduced from the Qur'an and the Sunnah of the Prophet. The scholars went on to pick out ayahs from the Qur'an that explain Tawheed Uluhiyyah. They picked ayahs that explain Tawheed Rububiyyah, and they picked ayahs that explain Tawheed Asma wa Sifat, and they were categorized. And it was out of this defense that the science of Tawheed emerged, which with its precisely defined categories and components. It was at this point that we got Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, we got Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, and we got Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat. So now, let's look at Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. Let's look at Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, which literally refers to maintaining the unity of Allah's Lordship. Maintaining the unity of Allah's Lordship. Now, as I said, Ar-Rabb is the one who creates and sustains his creation. So now, this category of Tawheed is based on the fundamental concept that Allah alone caused all things to exist when there was nothing. Yeah, I repeat, this category is based on the fundamental concept that Allah alone caused all things to exist when there was nothing. So now this verse nullifies the concept of evolution, the Big Bang theory, the Darwin theory, Darwinism. This verse nullifies all these things. And in my last talk, I was able to explain certain things that will prove that what these theories are after is not factual. Now, Allah the Almighty sustains and maintains his creations without any need from the creations. He doesn't need anything from the creations, right? He doesn't need them to give him anything. He has created them, he'll supply everything to them. But he doesn't need anything from them. And he's the sole Lord of the universe and its inhabitants without any real challenge to his sovereignty. In Arabic, the word used to describe creator or sustainer is ar-rububiyyah. That's the science, which is derived from the word ar-Rabb, which means Lord. Now, according to this category, since God is the only real power in existence, it is He who gives all things the power to move and to change. Nothing happens in creation except that He allows it to happen. Nothing will ever happen. Nothing has happened, and nothing will forever happen except Allah allows that thing to happen. In recognition of this reality, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to often repeat the exclamatory phrase, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, which means there is no movement, no power except by Allah's will. This statement literally explains that Allah is in control and is in charge of everything. Nothing will take place except He wills. Now, the basis for the Rububiyyah concept can be found in many Quranic verses. In many Quranic verses. For example, Allah says in Surah Zumar, which is the 36th chapter, verse 62. Zumar is the 39th chapter, verse 62. It said, وَخَلَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ, and Allah created all things, and He is the agent on which all things depend. Allah created all things, and He is the agent on which all things depend. Now, in Surah Al-Saffat, which is the 37th chapter of the Quran, in the 96th verse of Surah Al-Saffat, Allah the Almighty said, and He created you and whatever you see. And He created you and whatever you see. Now, this verse also explains that Allah is the one who created everybody, and He is the one who created everything we see. Sabran, Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'amalun. He is the one who created you and everything you do. Wa ma ta'amalun, and everything you do. Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'amalun, and He is the one who created you and everything you do. And then in Surah Al-Anfal, Allah the Almighty said, Surah Al-Anfal is the 8th chapter, and in the 17th verse, Allah said, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. It was not you who threw when you threw. It was Allah who threw. And this was in a war. This was done during a wartime. And things were very hard in the wartime for both the Muslims and the Mushrikun. And the Prophet ﷺ picked, grasped soil from the ground, and then he threw the soil. Of course, the kuffar were many, but then the kuffars, each kafir, each disbeliever, had particles from that soil that the Prophet ﷺ threw out. Allah said in this verse, when you did it, when you just picked the soil and threw it out, and each particle entered the eye of an unbeliever, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ, we're not the one who threw the sand, we're not the one who took each particle to the eye of an unbeliever, وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى, it is Allah who did so. So now this is to say that we may be in a certain struggle. Of course, Allah has given us the will to struggle, but then our success relies on the will of Allah, which also relies on our sincerity. That is why Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. You are not the one who guides people to the truth of Islam. It is Allah who guides who He wills. This is to say that as a caller to the truth, as a da'i, you can call upon people, but you cannot guide their minds. It is Allah who sees through these minds. He sees sincerity in them, then He'll guide them. He sees no sincerity in the minds, He'll not guide. So He looks at everybody's mind and He guides that who He wills, and He lives that who He sees lack of sincerity in his mind. So He leaves the person to go astray. The person is not willing. So whoever wills, whoever has a sincere intention towards Allah, that person will be guided by Allah. Whoever intention is not sincere, that person will be allowed to go astray because he doesn't have sincerity. So may yahdillahu fala mudilla lahu. Whoever Allah guides, nobody can misguide. وَمَن يُضْلِلْ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ. Whoever Allah allows to get misguided, nobody can guide that person. And Allah will allow you to get misguided if what you conceal inside you is not, it has nothing to do with sincerity. So in all that we do, in everything that we do, all success comes from Allah. And when the success comes, when Allah gives you the success, do not relate it to itself, but rather relate it to Allah. I may kick a ball, I may be a very good footballer, but success in scoring will not come from me. It is Allah who will allow me to score. If Allah wants to raise me up, He'll allow me to score a lot of goals. And whenever I score a goal, what I should say is, I should say Alhamdulillah. I may go out to seek for what to eat. We go out, maybe we go out to the market as a laborer. I may be in continuous struggle, to see that I get something that will earn me something. Whatever comes to me, I should take it as a blessing from Allah. We get a lot of things, we get tested also. You may be in a business today, you may lose certain things from your business. That is a test from Allah. So which means the whole life is being controlled by Allah. You have your will, right? And you are allowed to do certain things. But there's all your accomplishments, all your successes, and all the challenges that you come across will come from Allah, and they may be a test. Now sometimes people may use their will to disobey Allah the Almighty. And Allah will use the result of their disobedience. And they won't have any control over it except if He wills. He says, وَمَا أَصَابَكُم مِّن مُّصِيبَةٍ فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ. Whatever will befall you in terms of catastrophes and so many evils is as a result of your doings. And Allah forgives a lot. وَيَعْفُو عَنْ كَثِيرٍ. He forgives a lot. لو يؤاخذ الله الناس بما كسبوا لعجل لهم العذاب. If Allah is to judge people for everything that they will do, Allah will surely, will verily, the quickest, minute, punish everybody. But this verse means people will do a lot of things that are against what Allah has instructed due to their free will. Some Allah will allow, but then punish. While others Allah may stop immediately at the onset through punishing, and so on. Now, all these things will explain to us what rububiyyah is all about. Creating and sustaining what we have created and taking control of, how things go. So now, nothing will befall people, be it good or bad, any form of calamity, any form of goodness, nothing will befall humanity except with the will of Allah, except with the permission of Allah. Nothing will befall mankind at an individual level or at a group level or a nation level without the permission of the will of Allah. So if you see goodness most of the times, if you see goodness, that goodness is from Allah. If you see any form of calamity, it's from Allah and it's as a result of what you have done. Now the Prophet ﷺ, in a hadith, which is in Arba'un al-Nawawi, the Prophet ﷺ says to Abdullah ibn Abbas, he says, the Prophet ﷺ said, Ya ghulam, inni wa'allimuka kalimat. O you young boy, I want to inform you certain things. احفظ الله يحفظك احفظ الله تجده تجاهك وإذا سألت فاسأل الله وإذا استعنت فاستعن بالله وعلم أن الأمة up to the end of the hadith. Now the exact place that I want to explain here is where the Prophet said, as I explained, beware that if the whole of mankind لو أن الأمة لو اجتمعوا ولو اجتمعت, beware that if the whole of mankind gathered together in order to do something to help you, they will only be able to do something for you which Allah has already written for you. They can't do anything more. They will only be able to do something that Allah has written for you, that Allah has already written for you. Likewise, if the whole of mankind will come together to harm you, they will only be able to do something to harm you which Allah had already written to happen to you. So nothing will happen to you except which Allah has destined, be it good or bad. Nobody can make you rich except if Allah has destined that you are going to be rich. Nobody will make you poor except if Allah has destined that you are going to be poor. So if you find yourself losing in your market, go back to Allah. If someone tells you that so person has done this to you and this is why this is happening, no matter what someone will do, that thing will not affect you except if Allah wants to test you on that. So if you go back to Allah, definitely, bi'ithnillah, Allah will protect you from that thing. But be it good or bad. If I want to contest, if anybody wants to contest or aspire in politics, you don't need to go to sorcerers. If you want to aspire to any position in your office, you don't need to go to sorcerers. Go to Allah and do istikhara. If that thing is good for you, Allah will help you through it. Because Allah knows the ghaib. He knows the future. If that thing is not good for you, then you'll never get it. You'll never get it. Which means that thing is not good for you. And if you strive hard to get it, Allah may test you, but it will be a punishment to you in the day of judgment. You know the hadith that the Prophet said? He said, do not rush to get what has been destined for you. No soul will leave this earth except Allah gives it everything that He has destined for it. If you see someone stealing money, even if that person does not go to steal money, the person will get that money in as far as the money has been destined for that person. But if you become impatient and you go on to steal from people, or you go on to kidnap people to collect money from their families, Wallahi, Allah will punish you for doing that. Allah will allow you to proceed as a test. Allah will allow you so as to judge you on your intention. And then at the end of the day, you'll be punished in the day of judgment. Ask Allah the Almighty to make our intentions clear, to purify our intentions, to make them solidly for His sake, and not for any other person's pleasure. This brings us to the end of today's lesson. May Allah accept all that I've said as an act of ibadah. Inshallah, next week we'll continue from where we'll start. Permit me to say, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.